It's a pleasure to have Alfons here with us, and also it's a pleasure to have like all of you here. I would like to start off the discussion because it's friends and family. What we tried to transmit is we need to feel comfortable. I feel comfortable. I hope you feel comfortable as well. We have water here. We have like a lot of people here. They are really, really interesting because we talked to a couple of them. And we talk about like management and what's going on. We have like more or less like 3 focuses. The first one is what is actually happening in the economy right now. Then what does it mean for us as individuals? Because in the end there are like a lot of things happening, but what does it mean to me, to each of us here in the room? And in the third part, I would like to talk and focus also, what does it mean for education? What is our responsibility? Because it's really a big one. My first question, because I thought all the time about it, is what does actually like management mean? We talk about management, we discuss management all over the place. We learned management in business school, we learned management in design schools. In each company there's management. What is management actually? What does it mean?
Well, I don't know whether we have to focus on what management is or what manager will be, because we are just in the middle of a transition between one model, which is more engineering sort of model of management, so an organization as a machine that has a transformation of resources into results. In fact, this is the typical definition. If you go to this book, which is one of the best books explaining what management is, Joan Magreta rewrote the main ideas of Peter Drucker, who is the largest guru on management in the history. And what she said is that management is, well, this is in Spanish, but management is basically a transformation of resources into results. So we are moving from this paradigm based on engineering to a more biological-based paradigm, which is management is trying to convert the complexity of different people with different capabilities in different parts of the world into some sort of value. So it's not resources into results, it's complexity into value. And we don't know exactly how to do that, because most of the management that we know is based on engineering, is based on processes, not based on contracts, not based on passion, not based on fuzzy things that are more related to the sort of problems that we have right now. For you to know, management has just achieved the first century. The article that started management as a discipline was written in 1911 by Taylor. So it's the starting of what they call the scientific management was written one century ago. So now we are after the first century. So we have to rewrite the rules. But we are in the middle of a revolution in business and in economy that is actually preventing us from changing the model in management. So
just one thing, yeah, because if you talk about like Taylor and management and the origin of management, wasn't he like telling us that it means control and we should to standardize a certain process? Yeah. And it's like exactly the opposite of like how the creative process works now and innovation works?
Exactly. The idea is that the top of the evolution of management during the first century is total quality. So Six Sigma. The idea is during a century, we develop methods, processes, technologies to make the process of producing something extremely excellent, extremely efficient. To the point that we are too efficient. Because the excess of efficiency means excess of capacity, which means unemployment, and which means social trouble. And an innovation is radically the other thing. So innovation is error, is having a lot of troubles, having a lot of ideas that will not work. So in a way, innovation is exactly the contrary. It's the other way around the idea of efficiency. Trying to change the system is creating antibodies. And the system reacts and generate antibodies against any trial to change the system. So when, for instance, I talk a lot about education, and when they ask me how you will change the education system, the answer is don't try to change the education system from the center, because it will react. Status quo, the establishment will react. It's like a biological body. If you do something in my body, the body will react against any change. So what you can do is apply these ideas to the periphery, to anywhere where the system is not, worried about that. But if you do it in the right way, you will go deeper into the system and you finally will change the system. To start your own business or to your own idea, you have to make sure that you are not out of the system. So in a way, it's like this is the system, call it education, fashion, whatever, the system. And so if you are way out of the system, you are dead. Because you don't have energy, you don't have resources, you don't have, food, right? So, but you don't have to be in the middle because the middle will kill you. So how you move in the periphery? So use whatever the system is allowing you to use, but smart enough to penetrate the system slowly till you have your own position. So that's why I always recommend not to start something that is too magical, too out of the wall, but not too much into the wall. So how you are in the middle, something really new that can use the system, but that cannot, that do not interfere with the system. For instance, imagine that the business is education, right? Don't try to change the education system. You won't change as professors, you won't change programs, you won't change anything. But okay, you have an idea of doing something on the internet so that students could have complementary classes. That's what the Khan Academy did. The Khan Academy what did is, okay, I have videos on the internet of how to understand things about mathematics. I mean, who cares? If you're a professor in school and you are a professor of mathematics, okay, this guy has videos on mathematics on I don't care, I will get my salary every month. But once those videos become very popular and very useful, you as professor of mathematics said, okay, maybe I can use them. So the Khan Academy is the typical example, generating a new business that is useful, that does not interfere with the system, but it's actually using the system. Startups should define interesting products and services for companies that already have a market and have a deal with them. So startups need markets, don't need money. And it's interesting that this is a very simple idea, but we still go around the world watching startups that just are betting for money for venture capitalists, and you don't need money, you need markets. I always use this comparison between two worlds. When I was young, that was the first car that my father had, so that was typical in most European countries in the 50s, that the first car was something like this, and he waited 1 year to get this, and he paid up front. So that was the example of a market where demand was everything. There was a lot of demand. Anything you did, you sold it. Now the market is this one. This is a deli in New York. This is where you have to make a decision of which soft drink to get. What do you do? So this market has nothing to do with this market. My market, when I was young, was this. Your market will be this forever. So the idea is, okay, in this market, do you need money to start your company, or you need somebody who has the market and that could use your ideas to develop better products for their markets? So the deal is ideas meet market rather than ideas meet money. Let me show this example, which is a very wonderful example that I learned 2 weeks ago, casebuilder.com. This is a Dutch company that is making a good business with this. They discovered that these flight cases, so the cases that you use when you have to transport something in a plane, for instance, photographic equipment or whatever, so this is a whole business. They changed it radically. How? Okay, you go to this place on the internet, you define the size of the box that you want, any size, so you don't have to choose from a specific catalog of sizes, so it's any size. Whatever you enter into this website goes directly to a machine. It's a CNC machine, so it's a robot, and it builds the thing directly with no intermediary. So this means that I mean, is there a lot of prototyping here? Is there a lot of market testing? I don't know. The reality is that they changed the industry that was very inefficient.
Isn't that scary?
It is. It is because in this case there is a lot of people that had work that will not have work. But one thing is that our opinion, and the other thing is what's happening. So the world is going in this direction. It's going in the direction of real value, personalized. So what I want is my case, and I want it right away, and I want it cheap, and that's what's coming. So any idea that we have should be passed through sort of a funnel of value. Is it of real value to whom? Because we tend to be in love with our ideas. I mean, it's one of the problems of entrepreneurs is like we think that our idea is beautiful and wonderful, and we try not to test it directly with the market. So in this sense, what I will say is that your risk is critical here. You have to risk yourself to the death, I will say, and good luck is a very important element in business. Understanding when you are lucky. So having a sort of thermometer of good luck. So being able to react to the environment at the right moment is critical. Those guys did this, it worked, so go on. That's what I can say.
Can we teach luck at school?
No, we cannot. No, we cannot, but I can say that that a lot of situations that are negative and that we approach from a pessimistic point of view should be considered in the other way around. It's sort of an attitude. I mean, how you get negative inputs that you will have a lot during your life into positive things. So luck is what you want. So it's that you have to read what's going around you and transform it into a positive thing.
Do you have a statistic how is like the average lifespan of a startup?
I think it's that the average 2 years survival rate is 85% in manufacturing and less in services. So I will say that nowadays, because we learn a lot, we have less failures than we have several years back. So if you go to the 90s, or you go to even the beginning of the century, where the business, the economy was booming, all this startup phenomena, all the dot-com phenomena, there were a lot of failures because it was easy, it was money, so it was like, do it. Nowadays, I think that the startups that are really starting have more reasons, the background is better. We have learned a lot, so survival rate is higher. But what I learned is that you define your own survival rate if you change at the right time. I don't know how aware are you about the lean startup movement. If you haven't read this book, you have to read it, because that's the book of the moment, I will say. And it's interesting because what they say is that the most important thing in any business is determine when you have to pivot or persevere. So when you have to continue or you have to change radically. So it's critical to learn in which point in your life and in your business to change dramatically.
Without going to the periphery again.
I think you have to find an intersection, a mixing between the love you have to change for the sake of changing, because you are young and you are innovators, so it's like change is good. That's the paradigm. All the people here in this place is change is good. That's it. And the other paradigm, which is show me that the change is good. So business have to concentrate on generating value that the market is willing to pay for, and we love change just for the sake of it. So we have to find, in a way, somebody translating a change into value. That's the critical thing, and we don't have these translators. So we really need people that can take the ideas, these radical ideas, and put it in the context of value. So what I think is we need some sort of different levels of creativity. Creativity, which is very radical, which is we will change the world. Creativity was very, very, ground level, which is changes on your processes that could be applied right away. And something in the middle, which is ideas that with some energy could be imported in the pipeline of the process easily. So we use a terminology which is easy to understand, which is wow processes, wow ideas, wow, now, and how. So wow is wow, obviously. Now is today, and how is, well, good idea, but how we do it. So I think what we need is have a sort of metrics of any idea in terms of is it a wow, is it a now, or is it a how idea? And this is very important for companies because companies have to pay the salaries and have to pay to return the shareholders. So it's really tough. I mean, companies have a real problem sometimes to just stay alive. So we have to demonstrate them that it's really valuable. So it's not. It's in a way is like the Canadian sentence that don't ask what America can do for you, ask what you can do for America. So it's don't ask what the company can do for you, always ask what they can do with your ideas. And there is a lot of communication here. How you communicate your ideas in a way that is not seductive because it's just sexy, but because it's useful. And my feeling and my experience that anytime you present an idea that is well-grounded and that is business cased so that the person in front of you could make a decision, it's much better than when it's just an idea that is wonderful and just nice. Maybe the most important insights that I can give you today. Problems are critical in innovation. So because we are surrounded by problems, and we have a problem with problems, and it is that we don't see them as problems. Having wow ideas that solve a problem, that you have the business case, that, I mean, you know how to do it. So that's why it's a combination of good product, the right market, and the appropriate resources. So you know what to do, for whom, and how. Probably you won't be able to do anything of value alone, because the only way that the markets and companies could consider value is if you put together different knowledges so that you solve the problem together. So look for engineer, look for somebody from marketing, look from somebody from product design. So these combinations of knowledge is what the market is demanding and what could be a possibility for you. So, network with people that are different from you and that have other abilities that you will never have because it's not your training and it's not your passion and whatever.
That's very interesting because it's like something that we see every single day, that fashion designer love to talk to fashion designer, industrial designer love to spend time with industrial designer. And all these different categories work together. But do you have the idea also of co-society?
Yeah. Well, that's one idea that we had, is that I think we need to think in terms of combinations, right? I mean, the future is combinations. And we use this general prefix of co to explain the economy. We think that the economy that's coming is a co-economy. So the future is exactly this, so it's a combination. And in terms of teams, what you need is bring together people from different perspectives that could be, that the combination will be much larger than the different components.
I'm a bit more radical in that sense that I understand that, and it makes a lot of sense. The thing is, if you see the production capacity that we have, and what we do at the moment, and all the industries, companies that are for 10, 20, 30, sometimes 100 years, and they are going bankrupt because they're not existing anymore. They have troubles. They don't can feed the market. They don't get the money back. What's going on there? Because it's also for us here in school. We are still thinking about new chairs, new tables, new things, but we know that production capacity. It's not the question anymore, because we know that we can do. Before it was like always the question, hey, can we do this? Can we produce this? And it's, yes, we can. Now it's the question, does it make sense?
The more technical response is, the future is based on science that determines new natural phenomena, science that could be programmed into technological ideas to solve people's problems. So this combination between science, technology, and people's problems is critical. I think that the future is plenty of possibilities, everything in terms of problems that we never addressed that could be addressed. For instance, in health, there are a lot of things to be done. So the future is science converted into technology, applied into products that solve new problems. But, important, there will be no place for cosmetic solutions. So for solutions that are very shallow or very, very just nice. No. We need deep and real solutions to problems. So there will be a challenge for everybody. We lived in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, a wonderful world where any idea could work because the market was based on demand. But as I said, the market now is a supply-managed market. So in order to have success, we have to think about problems deeply and find better solutions, real solutions to problems.
Concrete question. A couple of them, they're going to finish pretty soon, like their master. What do you recommend them? Where should they, if they want to stay here in Spain, what type of industry, what type of company should they try to find a job? Some students, they come back, they ask us as well. And what kind of recommendation are you giving?
The best thing to do is to really determine what your assets are. So what you have that is different, and invest on those different assets. And so rewrite the way you introduce yourself to the world and look for things that are really unique. I know that this is difficult, but start trying to write what your assets are. So what is really different from you, and it's not related to what you studied, it's related to your life. I love guitar. I know how to go through Facebook or through YouTube and look for the right thing. I have a lot of friends around the world. I have an ecosystem of people around the place. I know people all over the place, so that if I have a design project, I can launch a challenge to people in 10 countries and get the response in hours. So to a company, this is much more interesting that I've been studying for a lot of years, doing this and that. I mean, you take for granted that the people in front of you have those skills, those capabilities. But what companies look for is for real differences, for uniqueness. So, and I think any of you, because my experience with all the people that I met in a lot of years, all of you have a different thing, but you have to discover it your own. I said that the future is being smarter. So it's not doing more, it's doing better. And my main message is combine your capabilities with capabilities of other people, so that when you build together a smart solution to a problem, you are actually going for good for you and doing good for society. So it's called share value, so that the value that you generate is good for everybody, for all the agents. For instance, a perfect example of this is the project Eco-Imagination by General Electric. I know where you're aware of that. But the Eco-Imagination project by General Electric is a new sort of appliances, a new sort of electrical devices that are good for the client because you save energy, so you pay less, and it's good for the planet because you don't waste energy. So the future is you have to be smart to solve problems of the people and being good for the rest of the world. I will ask you to think about what I will say. Be happy that will leave you a lot of problems. Believe me, you will understand this when you grow up. So believe me. I mean, having a lot of problems to solve is a very interesting thing. Because if you had everything solved, there is no reason why to keep going. So you will have a lot of problems to solve, and that will make your generation one of the best generations of history. Because the problems are very important: environmental problems, resource problems, people problem, what you will do in a world with 10,000 million people, right? So, so having a stock of problems is good. It will generate a whole revolution in a lot of different directions. So use this stock of problems in your own profit.